What if the heroes carved in stone could rise today, not as distant figures from dusty history books, but as living forces in our century, facing corruption, climate change, and inequality with the same fire they once used to topple slavery and colonial rule? Jamaica has 7 official national heroes. They fought for freedom, justice, dignity, and the soul of the nation. But the question is, if they walked among us now, in the 21st century, what battles would they fight? And could they still inspire this nation? The living legacy. These heroes are not just names on classroom walls or statues. They were human beings who risked everything, often paying with their lives, to give Jamaica a chance at freedom. Their stories have shaped songs, sermons, protests, and parades. But history does something strange. It freezes people. It locks them in the moment they died. Yet Jamaica today faces crises it never knew: climate destruction, digital exploitation, crime, inequality, and diaspora identity struggles. To leave them trapped in the past is to miss their relevance. So, let's bring them forward. Let's discuss what they may have done now. Nanny of the Maroons. The Eco-Strategist Nanny's battlefield was the mountains of Jamaica, where she used the abeng horn to outwit the redcoats. But today, she would not be ambushing soldiers. She would be defending the Cockpit Country from illegal mining and deforestation. Her troops, farmers, climate activists, and digital warriors. Her weapons, drones, encrypted networks, and satellite surveillance. Instead of treaties, she would build self-sufficient, climate-resilient communities that survive without relying on the same systems that are destroying the island. But Nanny would also carry her spiritual power into this century. She was more than a general. She was a mother of her people. Today, she would remind Jamaicans that protecting the land is protecting themselves. She would blend ancestral knowledge of herbs, forests, and rivers with climate science, teaching young people that ecology is not just policy, it's identity. In a world where climate anxiety grows, Nanny would become both warrior and healer, offering courage to a generation that fears the island's survival. Sharpe, the digital abolitionist. Sam Sharpe's weapon was the word. His Christmas rebellion of 1831 began as a strike, a peaceful plan to force justice. When it failed, he chose death over slavery, telling the world he would rather hang than live enslaved. Today, Sharpe would fight against modern slavery, human trafficking, forced labor, and corporate exploitation. Instead of preaching in Baptist chapels, he would run secure blogs, expose multinational supply chains, and rally boycotts against companies that profit from exploitation. His gallows speech would echo online. Freedom is not just survival, it is dignity. But Sharpe would go even further. He would pressure tech giants and governments to pass transparency laws that require corporations to disclose the origins of their products. He would link Jamaica's struggles to global ones, showing how cheap goods in rich countries are often built on hidden chains of slavery. He would collaborate with investigative journalists across continents, reminding the world that true abolition was never finished. Sharpe would be both pastor and journalist, the moral compass, pointing out where injustice still hides. Paul Bogle and George William Gordon. The twin flames of Justice Bogle marched the poor to Morant Bay, demanding land, justice, and fair treatment. Gordon used his seat in the assembly to argue their case. Both paid with their lives. Today, their partnership would be reborn. Bogle would be in Kingston's inner city, live streaming police brutality and organizing protests against land grabs and gentrification. His marches would not just end at courthouses, They would spread across digital platforms, transforming one street protest into a national movement overnight. He would speak directly to young people, frustrated with violence and unemployment, reminding them that standing up is not just their right, it is their duty. Gordon, the lawyer, would utilize the courts to expose corruption, file cases against politicians, and advocate for reforms. But he would also innovate. He would help form diaspora-funded land trusts that purchase property in vulnerable communities, ensuring that foreign investors do not displace ordinary Jamaicans. Gordon would show that law is not just defense, it can build new realities. Together, they would pressure the system from both the street and Parliament. Their alliance reminds us, change doesn't happen only in marches or only in chambers. It takes both. Marcus Garvey. The tech mogul of the diaspora, Garvey built ships. He dreamed of uniting the African diaspora through trade, pride, and culture. His Black Star Line symbolized freedom. But in our century, his ships would sail the digital seas. Garvey would create Black Star Connect, a global digital platform linking Black businesses, artists, and investors across Africa, the Caribbean, Europe, and the Americas. A cryptocurrency for the diaspora. A media empire telling Black stories without gatekeepers. His speeches would trend online. His critics would accuse him of being too radical. But millions would follow him because Garvey's call for unity has never been more urgent. For a generation fractured across continents, Garvey would prove that identity is not lost. It can be woven together into a powerful force. Sir Alexander Bustamante, the digital populist Bustamante, was the voice of the working class. He stood alongside sugar workers and dockhands in opposition to colonial power. Today, the workers are gig drivers, delivery riders, and call center staff. The new Bustamante would not be shouting from union halls. He would be live on TikTok, exposing unfair wages and organizing flash strikes with hashtags that paralyze corporations. He would call himself the chief, and the poor would rally behind him. His fiery charisma would make him both feared and beloved. Critics would call him reckless, but he would embody the raw voice of Jamaica's working class, ensuring they could never be ignored. Norman Manley, the Republican architect Manley, was the scholar, the lawyer, the negotiator who helped win independence. In the 21st century, he would be drafting Jamaica's new constitution, steering the island from monarchy to republic. He would argue for digital rights, climate protections, and even diaspora representation in Parliament. Calm, precise, visionary, he would ensure Jamaica's laws matched its dreams. He would see nation-building not as an event, but as a process that must evolve with every generation. For Manley, independence was never the final chapter, it was just the beginning. But here's the real question. If these heroes walked among us now, would Jamaica listen? Or would we crucify them again, just as we once did? Reimagined together, these heroes would form a living network. Garvey's media empire amplified Bogle's protests. Gordon's court victories feed into Manley's new constitution. Nanny's eco-villages proved that Bustamante's workers could thrive outside the system. Sharpe's exposés fuel global outrage. They would argue, yes, Nanny would clash with Garvey over land versus digital sovereignty. Bustamante's populism might irritate Gordon's precision. Bogle's fury might test Manley's patience. But tension is the price of transformation. And in those debates, we would glimpse Jamaica's future. Fierce, messy, but unbreakable. They would teach us that freedom is not given once. It is fought for again and again. Bonus facts. Fact 1. Only 7 people have been named national heroes, but debates continue. Some argue Bob Marley, Louise Bennett, Usain Bolt, or Portia Simpson Miller deserve the honor. Fact 2. Reggae and dancehall artists have invoked heroes in songs, from Burning Spear's Marcus Garvey to Capleton's Bogle. Fact 3. National Heroes Park in Kingston is not just a burial site. It's a national stage where new leaders prove themselves each Heroes' Day. Fact 4. Jamaican monuments to heroes exist overseas, in Canada, the UK, and even Ghana, where Garvey's ideas helped inspire independence movements. They fought, they bled, they died. But their spirits are not finished. The question is, will we carry their fight into this century? If you believe Jamaica still needs heroes, subscribe to this channel, Impacting Jamaica, and let's keep their fire alive.